Broadcasting live from the Hall of Heliod's Generosity on the plane of Theros, this is Tap Tap Concede. Welcome, everybody. I'm Graham.
I'm Ben.
And, for those of you watching the video version, might be curious why we have headphones on and a notable space in the middle of the table. That's because we also have a special guest joining us from the Commander podcast and the advisory committee. Oh, gosh.
Commander Advisory Group.
The Commander Advisory Group is previous Tap Tap Concede guest. Tap Tap Concede returning guest. It's Shivam Bhatt. Hello, Shivam.
Yo.
Hello, guys. It's great to be back for my fourth go-round on the Tap Tap Concede merry-go-round.
Fourth, right, of course, because you were in the one when you were here for the PPR.
Yeah, it was you were like episode 200 or something, some
Yeah.
epic number like that.
It was like a huge crack-a-pack
extravaganza. It was great fun.
Yeah, so you're a veteran.
Now you're floating here behind us like Zordon.
This is a really good setup. I really like this.
So Shivam is here because we wanted to talk a bit about so Shivam is here and Ben is here. Ben as the most commander player of the Loading Ready Run.
I like
group.
that title.
Just because you're the most
player.
commanderist. The most
I want to
the highest ranking general, perhaps?
Yeah. Because we want to talk about the recent changes to the Commander Banlist, both bannings and unbanning. And we will do that. But we will do a crack-a-pack first. But before we do that, we will also remind you that Tap Tap Concede is brought to you by CardKingdom.com. Check out cardkingdom.com/LRR for all of your Card Kingdom needs. And they're great. Their customer service is fast. They're awesome. We really like them. Tell them that we sent you. They'll give you a little button. I don't know what it says right now because they're running low.
Was it was it a Kingdom of Cards?
Currently it's the Kingdom of Cards, which they're using in between buttons.
Right.
So
oh my God, you got them to actually make one that says the Kingdom of Cards?
We didn't get them to. We just made it and sent them those.
That's hilarious.
They were like, oh my God, okay, fine.
Okay.
I guess we have to use these.
I hold true that we're allowed to do that ever since Kevin gave us the okay.
Jordan might not like it, but it's canon now.
Yeah, I believe other people from Card Kingdom have said that he did not have the authority to make that official.
Yeah.
And of course, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. So let's open with a crack-a-pack. Ben, you want to give the...
Do you want to blow on these dice? Yeah, there we go.
Oh, beautiful. 13.
Lucky number 13.
1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13.
What do we got?
You must be kidding me. If we got a pack of Theros. I'm dead serious.
Wow, okay. So we
That's
really
pretty
are. We're broadcasting from that hall.
That's amazing. All right.
Truly, Heliod is generous.
Yes.
This was given to us by Fenrickson at PAX Australia 2015.
If we crack
2018.
If we crack Heliod, it's just too spooky for me.
Then I'm going to walk away.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lightning spear coming right at the Gideon behind me.
It would be too spooky. All right, we're going to start with a combat trick. It's Battle-Wise Valor. 1 and a white for a instant, give a creature +2/+2 until end of turn, and scry 1.
Yeah, I didn't get to draft this format at all, but like
so
I discovered when we did do it. I think we did like full.
I'm not supposed to say that.
No, I loved it.
But like I discovered the power that is combat tricks in this format. Adam rolled over me.
Turn 1, Battle-Wise Hoplite, go. Yeah.
It turns out when everything has heroic, something that enables heroic is pretty good.
Yeah. Who'd have thought?
We did it for Adam's birthday, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was his favorite set to draft.
Triple Theros, yeah. Loathsome Katie Bleeple Pasta. It's the Loathsome Catoblepa. 5 and a black for a 3/3 beast. For 2 and a green, it must be blocked this turn if able, and when it dies, target creature an opponent controls gets -3/-3 until end of turn. This was not actually playable.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that good.
6 mana.
6 mana is too much.
You were dead by then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Omens.
but like all the removal in that set was 6 mana, right? So it was not very good.
Yeah.
Remember, was it a Sip of Hemlock was like 6 mana to destroy, like
But you needed it.
-3/-3, not even killed it.
The thing is, Sip of Hemlock would be like, it'd be like a 4-for-1 because you've got like a creature with like a counter and 2 auras on it.
Yeah, because you might be able to just kind of unpants them. Yeah, destroy target creature and their opponent loses 2 life. Maybe you just won off of that too. Who knows? It could be
Yeah,
nice.
I mean,
But Omen Speaker, I love this card.
Back in the day, kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, next up, Omen Speaker, 1 and a blue for a 1/3 human wizard. When Omen Speaker enters the battlefield, scry 2.
Nice. Love it. Never get tired of this card.
March of the Returned is next. 3 and a black for a sorcery. Return up to 2 target creatures from your graveyard to your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 mana more Macabre Waltz that you don't have to discard, I guess.
Hey, 1 mana more Soul Salvage.
Yeah.
Soul Salvage is great.
Yeah, Soul Salvage is...
Is
it the best printing?
This was okay. This March of the Return was okay. Soul Salvage is very good.
Yeah. Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
yeah.
Get like 2
But
or
I mean,
3.
Theros is just slow by nature, right? It's just a slow format in general. So everything seems to cost more, but it lands right when you would expect it to.
Hey, we have a bestow creature.
Ooh.
The Cavern Lampad, part of the Nymph cycle.
The Intimidators.
Yeah, 3 and a black for a 2/2 enchantment creature, Nymph, with bestow. So as a reminder, this was a weird mechanic, the way bestow. I loved it, but this is how bestow
It's
worked.
one of my favorites.
Yeah, so this is 5 and a black, and you can cast it as an aura. And so this is, if you play as a creature, this is a 2/2 with Intimidate. If you cast it as an aura, the creature it's attached to gets +2/+2 and Intimidate. If the creature dies, then this just falls off and becomes a creature.
Yeah.
Which is also true if you are targeting that creature with the aura and they kill the creature in response, then this just goes clunk onto the battlefield as a creature. It's
wild.
So
which
good.
is, that was the important part, because
Yeah.
that's how to stop yourself getting grossly 2-for-1 in this format.
Yeah.
My friend.
Man, I played all the Lampads and Naiads and whatever. All of this whole cycle was just completely playable, and they were so good.
I think my favorite was probably the green one because it had reach. It was a bear with reach.
Yeah. I like the red one that gave like first strike and stuff.
I
think it
like
was,
the white one,
Spear
1/1
Point.
lifelink.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh well, that wasn't. Sorry, I thought we were talking about the nymph cycle. But yes,
Oh.
the one lifelink was really good. Yeah,
I-
the Spearborn Oread was the.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got those mistaken.
That's the red. That's the 3.
that's the
3
red. Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's fine. The flying one
let's
was
see if it's in the
probably
back.
the best.
All the bestow creatures were
They're good. Yeah.
I always used to imagine that it was just like a piggyback ride. Like
Yeah.
that, like the bestow creature would just get, and then you would, when you have multiple bestows, it's just like a tower of power.
Yeah.
Nimbus
The
Naiad,
Hamlet
that was
back
the one.
guy.
Nimbus Naiad, I think, was
That's the blue
probably
one, yeah.
maybe the best one.
You're,
but
you're probably right, actually.
Flying is
yeah.
just a big deal.
Absolutely, you are. Hey, our friend back in M20, little Sedge Scorpion, single green mana for a 1/1 with Death Touch.
Why
Super
get a
good.
bunch of typhoid rats when you can get one big scorpion?
I don't think
Look,
the
man.
Scorpion's actually big. I think the camera is just very close.
Oh, maybe.
And when you've got a big, gigantic, lumbering thing with 1,200 like Naiads hanging off the back of it, and it steps on a scorpion and dies.
Yeah.
It's funny. The Blood Toll Harpy is 2 and a black for a 2/1 flying harpy. When it ETBs, each player loses 1 life.
Card
Playable.
was fine.
It was fine.
It was fine. Yeah.
Big Benthy. The Benthic Giant for 5 and a blue for 4/5. Giant with hexproof. Surprisingly all right.
It was just very hard to deal with.
It's weird. It's
There's
like
not really any edict effects in this set, I don't think.
I don't think it was like exceptionally playable, but every time my opponent resolved one, I was like, how am I going to get out of this?
Well, I mean, if you enchant it with trample, it's just annoying, right?
Yeah, I mean, it carries enchantments well, right? So that's
Sure
kind of all I
does.
really had to say about that one.
Turns out boggles are good, no matter what, CMC they are.
Voyaging Satyr is next.
Yes.
1 and a green for a 1/2 Satyr Druid, and for
First pick.
tap to untap target land.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
Yep.
Because there was, it wasn't. I mean, there was Nylea's presence, but was there not a similar to Gift of Paradise? Was there not a ramp enchantment?
Well, there was Nyx, right? Just
Oh, Nykthos. Yeah.
Nykthos, yeah, Shrine
yeah.
to Nyx. I don't know if there was like
Rare.
I can't remember if there was an enchant land in here.
It's still ramp.
yeah.
Hey, it's the I did actually remember the name. Goodness. Okay, yeah. Spearpoint Oread, 2 and a red for a 2/2 with first strike, and bestow for 5 and a red. An enchanted creature has +2/+2 and first strike.
Yeah, I'll take a 2/2 first striker for 3, even on its own.
Yeah, good card.
Gentlemen, we have reached peak eruption. Peak eruption is 2 and a red for a sorcery. Destroy target mountain. Peak eruption deals 3 damage to that land's controller.
No.
I definitely boarded in 2 of these. I ended up with 2 of them because no one took them, and I was playing a red player, and I was like, I'm bringing in both my peak eruptions, and it was hilarious.
Sure, why not? Right?
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, if somebody gets you with a chain to the rocks, right? This will get
Exactly.
you out of it.
Exactly. Chain to the Rocks was an enchantment. It was a white enchantment that enchanted a mountain.
Yeah.
And it was like an O-ring.
But it only costs 1 mana.
Yeah, it was just a single white, but the only way you could get rid of it was by destroying the mountain.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. The flavor was real, too.
yeah. Cutthroat Maneuver. Oh, this was a blowout.
Yeah.
3 and a black for an instant. Up to 2 target creatures. So that's 2 different creatures get heroic triggers. Each get +1/+1 and lifelink until end of turn.
Yes.
There was a cycle. I think Dauntless Onslaught, the white one, was probably the scariest, but there was a cycle of combat tricks, I think in each color, that targeted 2 creatures, and they were all pretty scary.
Yeah. This set
Satyr,
was great.
yeah, I had a lot of fun with this set. Satyr Piper is next. 2 and a green for a 2/1 Satyr Rogue, and for 3 and a green, target creature must be blocked if able.
Yeah.
Always a scary ability.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Especially with your scorpion that was earlier in this
Or your
pack,
giant
right?
monstrous creatures that are just like,
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
eat you.
Yup. We have
I do like the tradition in Magic that the use it's
pipers?
the use of like the piper or the musical player thing is everyone goes for that guy.
Yeah.
Kill him.
Yeah. Attack the bard.
stop that. It's so annoying. Yeah.
I mean, Siren's Call Alpha, they made it for a reason.
All right. What's the rare?
We got a forest. We got a rules reminder on creatures with heroic abilities.
Sweet.
And our rare is not amazing in draft, but here we are. It's the Meletis Charlatan.
Oh.
2 and a blue for a 2/3 human wizard. For 2 and a blue and tap, the controller of target instant or sorcery spell copies it. That player may choose new targets for the copy. I definitely saw it do cool things, but it means
That's
that
commander playable.
it's commander playable, certainly. It means that you have to have an extra 3 mana lying around to really get the advantage off of it. What are you first picking out of here if you're doing Theros draft?
I'd probably take the Oriad or the Satyr. Like I'm kind of with Shivam on
On Voyaging
just ramp.
Satyr?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like it's target land, right? This isn't like a Arbor Elf or
Yeah.
something like that where it's like untapped target forest.
And there were no heroic or monstrous or even devoted creatures in this
No.
set.
Yeah, we
Like,
just saw 2 bestow. kind of
You like
things in
missed
there.
all of them.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that was interesting.
I think Satyr is maybe Satyr or like one of the 2. One of the like Naiad guys is basically the only ones you could pick, and I would
Yeah.
probably start with Satyr just because it's more overall useful.
Yeah, I agree. Voyaging Satyr for sure.
There we go.
What was that green common that had monstrous that was just like the worm that was super good?
Oh, it was the snake, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Was
Nessie
it
and
the-
Asp.
Nessie and Asp.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh,
the-
Nessie. Now, see,
snake-
that's what you would be going for.
Snake.
So you would
Because-
want to get Voyaging Satyr to start with, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nyx is when I started playing Magic, like near the end of it,
wow,
kind of
cool.
thing. Yeah, it was also like around when I started watching like Friday nights and all that kind of jazz too, because I was just like, I was like, oh man, a set about Greek mythology, hell yeah, I'm all in, kind of a thing. My friend was like, you should watch these guys, they're pretty funny.
That's so rad.
4 years later, now
Turns
I work
out.
for you.
It's
However many years, I guess now.
It's a weird career trajectory, but here we are.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of
okay.
weird career
Yeah.
trajectories, let me
Yeah.
tell you about how I got on the CAG.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
let's-
well, first of all, before we get into the nitty gritty of the Commander Bannings, what is the Commander Advisory Group versus the Rules Committee, and how did you get involved with that?
So this is one of the questions, and it's weird. This feels a little bit like when a president puts out a policy decision and sends a secretary of state out to like all the Sunday morning shows to talk to like the talking heads about. Well,
We've decided these bannings. All right, Shivam, you go on tap and defend it.
well, Graham, Dominaria wants a change. You know.
Yep.
So, interesting story. So here's the thing, like Commander was started something like 20 odd years ago, maybe about 20, maybe like about 17, 19 years ago. Okay, 20 odd years ago.
Sure.
By a bunch of judges who were playing Magic in Alaska. And Sheldon Menery, who is a rules committee manager, like found this and polished it and like took this format and brought it to the judge community at large, because he was a level 5 judge, the one and only level 5 judge at the top.
I had no idea.
AKA the head judge of head judges.
I had no idea it started in Alaska, of all places.
Yeah, like apparently like a
very
military
close to
base
us.
or something. They just had extra cards and they're like, okay, we'll take the 5 Elder Dragons from Legends, and each of you build a 100-card singleton deck, and we'll be playing Star against each other or something like that.
Sweet.
And that's why like Commander damage is at 21, because that's 3 hits from an Elder Dragon.
I
And
did
then-
not know that.
You didn't know that?
I did not know that.
There
That
we
makes
go.
so much
And then,
sense.
Like, the color requirements came from that, and after that they bring it out to everybody. And so 3 judges, including the guy who currently writes the tournament rules, Toby Elliott, plus like Scott Larrabee, who runs all the tournaments and pro tours and everything, and then Gavin Dugan, who you actually know, a Canadian, who was also once, I think, like a level 4 judge or something like that. They're basically this thing called the Rules Committee. They live on 4 different sides of the country, play with different people in different groups, because that's one of the big misperceptions, that these guys all just live in a hermetically sealed box, only play Commander with each other, and
Right.
if something messes with their meta, they go and ban it.
Yeah.
That is not how this works. Having now sat through 2 cycles of banning discussions, it's way, way different than just like, hey guys, I got hit by a fireball, so tomorrow all X spells are banned.
I expected that things like this are always way more complicated, and you always get like, because I've been in situations like that, and obviously not related to Magic cards, but discussions like that, and you and your peers have these just exhausting like hours-long debates because you really want to make sure that you're doing the right thing.
That is
and
exactly
then
what this is.
You announce it, and someone's like, "Oh, you just did this because of this reason," and it's like,
nah.
I tried so hard.
Like, you guys have no idea. They spend literal hours, and not even just, it's
I believe
multiple
it.
days of conversation going over every possible use case, every possible comment we've gotten, every think about desperately, what does this mean for Magic as a whole? Because if we ban something, then that means that WotC can't reprint it. That means that like Josh said on his video, millions of dollars of value are vaporized.
Yeah.
Like, this is not something that you're just like, today I think we're banning Frogmite.
Yeah.
No, that's not quite how this works, right? Like, but so basically what happened was, after a long time, these guys are all kind of older, right? Like, these guys have been doing this for a very long time, and they were adults when they started it. And there's been a lot of just Commander is huge.
Yeah.
Commander is the most popular way to play Magic in the world. That's one of those things that stunned me when I learned this, is that everybody plays Commander. If you're a vintage player, a modern player, whatever, everybody's got a Commander deck somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's bananas to think about. And so they're like, okay, look, if we're going to be running this game to be to outlive us, to be as popular as it can be, to be as healthy as it can be, we need to bring in more voices, right? Like,
Smart.
And in the past 5 years or so, a lot of new podcasts and content creators, there's been a huge explosion, right? Like, originally there was the Command Zone, and there was Commander, and then there was kind of nobody. And since then, we have this endlessly huge stream of Commander aficionados and articles and video guys and everything from every corner. So the Rules Committee was like, okay, let's see who we can get from the community to come in and give us feedback on what it means to be Commander players these days, because these are people who talk to everybody, right? Like, my podcast has the second largest Commander outreach. Josh Lee Kwai gets millions of hits on his videos.
Oh yeah.
And between us, and then they were like, okay, so they went to Josh and they were like, hey, we have this idea for this thing called a Commander Advisory Group. We want to get 6 or 7 or whatever of you guys to come out here and virtually come here, talk to us, tell us what the pulse of the Commander community is, tell us what the feeling is about everything, like the band list, the philosophy, the idea of Commander. What does it mean? Because we want you people who have born and raised with Commander to come to us, who don't know what it's like to live without Commander, and sit there and tell us, what is it like from within? And that's like, I think, one of the biggest steps that they could have taken.
Yeah.
So like they went to Josh, and Josh suggested a couple of names, and they went to me and I suggested a couple of names. We got like, so the people on it are Josh Lee Kwai, obviously the most influential content creator there is for Commander. I mean, Game Nights is bigger than everything.
Yeah,
and then there's me. I've got the Commander and podcast. I'm also, a writer and essayist about this sort of thing. We got Rachel Agnes, who is one of the most spiky hardcore players I know. She writes for Channel Fireball. She's now working at WotC itself. And she's like just
and their social media has improved dramatically as a result.
Oh my
100%.
She knows how to work Twitter. It's
so good.
She's very good at what she does.
And the thing is, people don't realize how amazing of a deck builder and a competitive player she is. Like, she can win vintage tournaments. She can win Commander tournaments. She's bananas.
For quite a while.
And then
there,
they got Ron Foster.
I wanted to shout out to Allison, who used to run their Twitter and was amazing, and then stopped, like moved to a different department and wasn't running their Twitter anymore. And then it was just sort of like, yep, sure, is a corporate Twitter account, but now it's fun again.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Sorry,
very much.
Who else is on the CAG?
And then got sorry, man. And then we got Stibbs from like Cool Stuff Inc. and some other places. He runs like the Pauper Cube. He's also just an incredibly savvy individual. He writes a lot of articles. Has been writing about Commander for years and years and years, and just has really good, balanced opinions. Yeah. Like, I don't know if
forgot
he was I'm a little bit of an extremist when it comes to my takes on Magic.
Yeah,
sure
I've done a fair number of World of Warcraft raids with Stibbs.
Oh yeah,
because he's in the Lure in the Lure WoW guild, and I haven't played in forever, but he's a really enjoyable dude to be around.
He knows his stuff. He knows his stuff really, really well. And then we got Charlotte, whose last name I can't remember. She's a judge from Finland, because they wanted to make sure that there's a judge representative on the committee.
Makes sense.
And that's also good because she keeps us on our toes with our rules issues of like, hey, if you ban this cascade is going to happen.
Oh no!
And it's just like, oh, that's good to know. Thank you. And then we got Ron Foster, who is a name that not a lot of people know, but he was a WotC employee who worked on their digital group and on their judging groups and tournaments, whatever. He's the guy who introduced Commander to Japan.
Oh,
like he speaks fluent Japanese. He lived there for a long time, and he brought Commander to like countries outside of America and knows the format inside and out. Right? Like, he's been playing for as long as they have, and it's just like it's an amazing accruement of talent.
It's a really diverse group.
Yeah,
it's great because it's not just content creators and all that kind of jazz, right? It hits a lot of different notes on there.
And moreover, we're all different kinds of Commander players. Like, I'm hardcore Timmy, tokens, and fun time, and Josh and Rachel lean more toward the more efficient way of playing. We kind of make sure that no group is left out when we're having these discussions.
So,
and the amusing thing is, for me, is that I got the call to do this while I was in the hotel room in one Canadian city of Victoria during a PPR.
And it was like right after the PPR.
This is nuts, right? So like the day before the PPR, I'm in the hotel room just kind of bumming around, and I get an email from Sheldon, who has never emailed me in my life. I don't know where he got my email. I'm not asking questions, but it appears, and it's like, hey, if we were going to do an advisory group, what would you think, and why should we not pick you? And I'm like, don't pick me because there's a million better people than me. And this and that. And then I was like, by the way, I'm going to be on the PPR tomorrow, maybe check me out or whatever. And apparently they all went and watched the PPR and were like, that guy looks like a guy we would want to play Magic with.
That's great.
Despite your performance at the PPR, we still want to invite you to the group.
You know what? I feel like I lost with joy.
Your enthusiasm was infectious.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that had a non-zero factor, to deal with that, right?
Win and lose with joy.
Exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
You know what, man? It was so much fun to be there. But so basically, like after that, the week after that, they announced a CAG, and I'm on it, and I'm like, oh, what does this mean? And suddenly I got bombarded by 12 million fans of Commander who were so by the way, jerkface, when are you going to unban my favorite card? And I'm like, I see why they got us.
So, relating to that, how then does the advisory group, how do you get in, how are you involved with the process of things like bannings?
Good question.
Because you're not the rules committee.
No. So the way this works is that we're all on a Discord together. It's all locked down. The rules committee's got their separate subroom. The CAG has its own, and then we have one joint committee. And we're all locked out of all the private rooms because they want to make sure that we don't taint the process. The way this works is we sit there, and in the chat room, we'll sit and just bring up proposals of ideas of what we should be doing, what commanders should be doing, what the website and we're like, you know what? We need to fix the website because it looks like 1994 died.
Yeah.
And we would really like that to not be the case.
Yeah.
And so we're working on fixing that because that sucks.
Awesome.
I wouldn't be surprised if just as a joke before it dies, somebody threw on some sort of old 90s song that plays the moment you open it. There used to be those sites that would always be you'd open them up and they'd have some inbuilt media player or MIDI version of a song. Yeah.
Join my web ring.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically what happens is they were like, okay, look, we have brought you on here because we want you to help us, but you don't get to vote. And I'm like, okay, that's fair. We don't know what you're doing yet. We don't want to, but I want to make sure that you hear what the people are saying. So I've been listening and talking to everybody. And what we do is the first thing they had us do was rewrite the philosophy of Commander. The philosophy document was for a long time very unclear and vague, and why cards got banned was very unclear and vague, and it felt really almost impulsive and random as to why certain cards were banned and not. And what the Commander committee didn't realize was that a lot of people were looking at these bannings and being like, yo, why did you ban Coalition Relic? What does that even mean? And they had banned it not as we're banning this card specifically, it's we're banning this card to represent a whole category of cards that we would rather you didn't play. Now that's a huge difference, right?
I legitimately did not know that.
Yeah. That's one of the big things that I was like, yo, I get it, but they don't. A lot of, not Coalition Relic, I'm sorry, Coalition Victory.
Victory. I was going to say, yeah.
Coalition Relic is good.
Yeah.
Coalition Victory is bad.
But
that makes a lot more sense, yeah.
The idea was, hey, you know what? When we're making the ban list, it's a casual format. We don't want to tell you how to play the game. We just want to say yo, if you play these certain types of cards, maybe Commander's going to be less fun for you and everybody. But the problem is the audience is huge. The audience for Commander is now 100,000 times bigger than what it was when these guys started.
Yeah.
And so people who used to go to the MTG Commander forums and read and listen to Sheldon talk, they knew that this was meant to be a representative list of ideas of things that could possibly, be things that we should talk about. But if you pick up a pre-con at Target and walk down and you're playing Commander with your buddies and you just Google up the Commander band list, you're going to get the WotC site, which is just a list of cards, right? There's a context-free list of cards.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to be like, okay, well, I can't play Primetime. That's fine. I guess I'll play, I don't know, Prophet of Crufix or whatever it is. And then
and then Prophet of Crufix was the last ban, right? Yeah.
And the problem is you end up with things when we ban a card that's obviously being abused by millions of players or whatever, people are like, yo, why did you ban this out of nowhere? Mm-hmm. And it's no, the philosophy is that we're banning this because it represents a net negative to Magic. But the problem the rules committee had is they're 4 dudes who don't talk to anybody. Sheldon goes out and writes an article once in a while on Star City, but that's not enough. That's not enough to reach everybody who plays Commander. Yeah. My audience is way bigger than the audience of people who go to the Commander forums, right? By significant. Your audience is even bigger. That's why I came here, because this is one of the largest breaches there is.
Well, that's sort of the thing that we had talked about when I was talking to you on your podcast and whatnot, was there was never the same level of clarity that you would have when a modern banning or anything like that would come in.
You get
exactly
a massive thing from Ian Duke being like, okay, here's what's up.
Yeah, so is this all in a way, a lot of the times, Commander bannings and stuff like that sort of felt like a bit of a faceless entity.
Mm-hmm. They felt a little arbitrary.
Yeah, and so I imagine that with the advisory group and whatnot, the idea is to it has been to put a stop to that, to really I guess solidify what Commander is and showcase that kind of thing and be a bit more forthright and stuff, and especially having people like you, Shivam, and Josh and Rachel and all these folks who have different points within the communities of Magic. You now have those faces that people can sort of direct that idea towards.
Yeah, and for instance, I am far more receptive than, say, if you were trying to tweet at Toby or something.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I will answer you and I'll explain to you what our idea is. And I think that helps a lot of people to feel like they're being heard and to feel like they're understanding better why these bans are. And so we wanted to rewrite the philosophy and to say, okay, what does it mean to be a Commander player? And their idea was, we wanted Commander to exist, to be something you could play between rounds of your tournament, to be something that you could relax with when you're not playing your tournament. We want it to be the most casual of casual formats, right? Like,
Right.
Commander is meant to be Magic the way we used to play, hanging out with your buddies around your kitchen table, drinking something, just playing some games and remembering what it's like to have fun.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah, I'm totally on that board too. And
That's
that's
what
kind of
brought
what we
me
do.
here, right?
Here. Yeah.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. If you are interested in playing really, really spiky competitive Commander, you should investigate Canadian Highlander.
Yeah,
100%.
It's a good way to do it. Like, and that's not to discredit like CDH or anything like that, right? Like, I think it's also quite an interesting thing.
You know, my only problem with that is that competitive and casual start with the same letter.
Yeah, a little bit.
And
That is
casual
confusing.
pejorative.
What?
Casual is pejorative, man.
Also
Yeah.
that,
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely, right?
When you
Yeah.
say, "Oh man, he's just a casual," that's not like, "Oh, he's playing a relaxed game of EDH with his favorite card." No, that means that guy's a scrub.
I want
And-
to be a casual.
Yeah, I'll casual
No, and
till
I'm
I
like,
die
no.
there. Yeah.
What we should be saying is
Yeah.
something more like, efficient versus relaxed, or something like tuned versus chill Commander.
Chill
But-
also starts with this.
Yeah, let's
I know,
call it
it's a
RDH.
problem.
Relaxed Dragon relaxed
like,
Commander. I like that.
Relaxed Commander. It's like,
Yeah.
look, man, I took that from when Serge was helping us at the PPR, and he's like,
Yeah.
we're playing RE-laxed.
Yeah, RE-laxed,
That's
yeah.
what Commander is,
Yeah.
right? Even though it's made by judges, we're meant to be like, draw until you got a hand that you can play.
Well, it was made by judges so that they didn't have to
Have to judge.
judge. Yeah, exactly.
And so, but I think one of the problems is Commander is 20 billion people playing, right?
Yeah.
And there's some of those people who are like, I want to play with my Commander deck and I want to win on turn 2 in the most aggressive and efficient way possible. So I'm going to use Protean Hulk and like Flash and just obliterate you. And then they're like, well, I'm going to use Paradox Engine, or I'm going to use like, Dramatic Reversal and Isochron Scepter, whatever it is, any number of infinite ways to obliterate someone. And that's a totally valid and fair way to play Commander. I'm not going to tell you how to play your Magic cards.
Yeah.
The rules committee was like, we don't want anything to do with that. That's not what we're trying to support. That's not what we're trying to endorse. And we don't want people to get the idea that you can bring a Pub Stomper deck to FNM and go against a guy who just bought his brand new like pre-con and crush them.
Yeah.
Because that's the worst feeling when a new player comes in, sits down, it's like, hey, I just bought this new format. I'm trying this out. It's got one of my favorite little cats in the front. We're going to play. And somebody comes out with Gitrog and just like scrubs them into infinity.
Yeah, I've told the story a couple, like once or twice, of just like when I had just gone to my first FNM and someone was like, let's play Modern or whatever, and I said sure, and I had this little kitchen table deck I made, and I played Zerta Ancient, that like big dude that makes everybody, that's symmetrical, doubles everybody's like land production, and I was like, okay, pass, and he went, okay, used all the mana that my Zerta Ancient did, and then he's like, all right, and with 1 white, I'll path to exile your Zerta Ancient, and so it came back to me with no like ramp or anything like that, and that like and that's not like necessarily spiky magic or anything,
No.
but like I certainly walked away with that feeling like, oh, I don't get this game at all, like this is weird, and I imagine that's probably like a similar vibe that you want to avoid.
Well, I mean,
in
think
those
about it.
scenarios.
I'm famous for playing this really terrible soldiers deck. It's got a bunch of just soldier token makers. It's the most mono fair deck ever. And I sat down one PAX with a bunch of people playing Magic, and one guy pulls out a Leovold deck, and then plays Teferi's Puzzle Box, and then Windfall, and then I never draw a card again. And the other people are playing like Time Vault and things. So I'm like, if this was my first time playing Magic, I would quit. And that was like 10 years in of my return to Magic, and I still nearly quit. And I was like, this is just not this. I mean, it was the end of Kaladesh weekend, which was already a whole lot, but I was just like, this is not what I want when a person sits down and plays Commander.
Yeah.
Now people have been like, yo, Shivam, I don't want Commander's like rulings to be based on when whatever punk noob sits down.
Right.
And it's like, okay, no, that's not the point.
No.
The point is I want anybody to sit down and be able to play. If you crush them later, hey, that's a game of Magic. That's fine. But I want them to be able to sit down and actually be able to play a game of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
right? And so like a lot of what did in the philosophy was try to explain like our goal is that we want to have a relatively, let's say, 8 to 12 turn long game. We want to have Magic to be, you guys can sit down, slowly build up your board, do whatever crazy chaos stuff. We want you to play with your favorite cards and do the most insane things you can, but we want everybody else to have the chance to also be able to do that. And so
What I've
one
always...
of the things,
Oh, sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, what I've always said whenever I sit down to play, a game of Commander with, with like a new deck or anything is just, win or lose, I just want my deck to get to do its thing.
Exactly.
And it's like, as long as I've been, like, okay, cool, I did the thing. Now I don't really care if I win or lose this game. I just, I got to actually play a game of Magic. Yeah.
So one of the things, and this will lead right into the banned cards because this is part of the idea philosophy of this, is that part of what's going to happen, I think you're going to see, is that over the next few years or so, because Commander moves very, very slowly, like one thing I just want to assure all the listeners and viewers right now, we're not ban happy, right? Like the Commander group is one of the most conservative groups there is. Commander's been around for nearly 20 something years. We've banned like 19 cards tops in that years, right? Out of the 15,000 Magic cards that exist. And each time that there's a banning, it's like after years of really suffering over whether we really want to be doing this. And one of the things that the CAG has been really insistent on is reevaluating the cards that are on the banned list so that we can start removing cards that are not bad. Like Painter Servant.
Yeah.
Painter Servant is it's a weird combo card, and yeah, you can grindstone someone out, but philosophically related. The idea is that you know what's going into your deck. You know when you're building your deck, when you're counting out your 100 cards, you know what you're putting in there. So if you put Painter Servant in there, and then you take Grindstone and put Grindstone into your deck, so for the folks at home, Painter Servant is, when it comes to play, pick a color. All cards are that color. In play, out of play, in exile, in your graveyard, every card is now, let's say, blue, right? And Grindstone is Millstone equivalent. It's like tap 2 and tap it. Mill top 2 cards of target player's library. If they share a color, do it again. So obviously there's a vintage playable combo of Painter's Grindstone, or like Servant Grindstone, whatever it is, that they just mill through your entire deck because it'll just chain through. They're all the same color.
Yeah.
Now, the idea here is if you are a player and you are constructing your deck and you say, you know what, I'm going to put Painter Servant in there because it can do some weird things with these shadow, more color changing cards. It's super fun. It's tricky. Oh, I think I'll put Grindstone in there. You made a choice to put Painter Grindstone in there. So when you go sit down and play with your friends and you obliterate them, that's your choice to make that call to sit there and put these two cards together. We're hoping that you won't, because like the last line of the philosophy is, look, Commander is broken. We know Commander is broken. We know it's infinitely broken. It is the easiest format in the universe to break. We just hope you won't.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I mean, that's where it comes into play.
We just think it's more fun if you don't.
Yeah, that's where it comes into play, where it's like, then you just don't play with that person.
That's kind of always been the thing for me, right? Is whenever people are like, man, I just don't get to play enough Commander because all the people around me are really spiky and they'll build these decks that combo out on turn 2 and whatnot. I'm like, you need to find different people to play Commander with, or you need to discuss with them that if they want to play that kind of Magic and whatnot, or they want to even play Commander with you and stuff, that you need to tone it down in that kind of way.
We had years ago when we were all like reasonably fresh at Commander. Matt built a Slivers deck,
right,
and absolutely dumpstered us once. And then every other time he'd be like, "Play a Sliver," and someone would kill it. And he'd be like, "I play a Sliver," and someone would kill it. And he'd be like, "What? Would you? I can't do anything with my deck." And we're like, "Yeah, because if we let you resolve like 3 Slivers, we all die."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh."
Yeah. See,
okay.
See, I'm the.
So then he stopped playing that deck.
I'm the Commander player that when Painter Servant got unbanned, I knew obviously about Grindstone and whatnot, right? But my mind, I was like, Una, and it was like, it just got exciting for me, and that's as far as my power level I ever want to go with. I'm just like, I could make so many fairies.
Una is the reason Grindstone was banned in the first. Una was the reason Painter Servant was banned in the first place.
Really?
Because Una is something like X and like a hybrid blue-black, and it says choose a color, target opponent, exile the top X card to his or her library. For each card of the chosen color exiled, you get a fairy.
Yeah.
And you could you could go crazy ham with Painter Servant. And,
Oh, absolutely, right?
I know that.
But again,
Kathleen's-
it's kind of the same thing as Grindstone. You're going to get the same, like, okay, well, we hope you won't.
it's so funny.
But it's
'cause
cool. It's here now.
I know that Kathleen has told this story, possibly even on game nights, but it's just funny that when we started playing Commander, she was like, "I like blue black. I'm gonna see what's up with this." And then she was at Yellow Jacket. And she was like, oh, "Fairies! Oh, these are great. This is awesome."
no.
And then went and found Una and was like, "Perfect.
Oh, no.
This is great. She's the queen of the Fae." And she built this fairies deck. And we're all like, we didn't know. We're like, "Oh, cool. All right, awesome." And that deck was very powerful.
Oh, yeah.
And
It was mean.
then we realized it was like, oh, fairies is a thing.
Yeah.
That's like an
Turns out blue, black
established
fairy is
thing.
pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
So-
shout out to the next set. Oh yeah. I don't think I think Mara confirmed. I'm not going to sidetrack this. That it has nothing to do with Una.
Yeah,
At all.
It's not.
It's its own plane.
It's not
It's got
Lorwyn.
fairies, but it's not exactly fairies. It's
Yeah.
not like fairies of Tarkir level fairies. But it's got fairies.
Rosewater went into like major managing expectations mode when he was like, okay, first of all, it's not Lorwyn.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, yes, there's fairies in the marketing. It's not like as many fairies as maybe you're expecting.
yeah.
Just calm down,
It's like-
everybody. yeah. So what went into, like you've talked about why Painter Servant is maybe not that big of a deal. Is that sort of how the discussions went? That it was like, do we really need to say that Painter Servant is banned, or do we just have to sort of trust that people won't be dinks about it?
That is one of the biggest challenges of Commander. Because here's the thing. For the most part, and a lot of people have been asking, like, yo, why do I need a band list? You have Rule 0, which says talk to your friends, figure out what they're playing, and decide whether this is collectively good for us. And yes, that's fair. That's true. Rules, but the reason we have a band list is because there are people who will be like the letter of the law, right? Like, these 18 cards are banned, everything else is fair game. And so they're going to go to your GP and they're going to sit down and play Narset and Armageddon all your lands and have it like indestructible, whatever. Okay, those people are going to exist. Our hope is to try to mitigate as much of that as possible, but while still giving you the leeway to have abusive combos in your deck. Like, people are like, oh, you're going to come and take away my control decks and destroy stacks. I'm like, look, I personally hate stacks, but also that's a valid Magic way of playing. And I'm not going to, I might not play with you, but I'm not going to tell you you can't. And we're not going to go out of our way to ban like stacks. We will ban like cards that target one specific. But okay, so this actually is a good question that leads into the next card, right?
I was gonna say I
Iona.
know exactly where
Yeah.
you're going. Yeah.
Because Iona is, in my opinion, a card that was banned 10 years too late. It should have been banned within like day one, because it is one of the most miserable cards ever printed in Magic.
It really is, because you were talking earlier about making sure everyone gets a chance to play, and it's like your opponent gets Iona, and you're like, oh, I just never.
No,
get
Iona
to...
says you don't get to play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like I
It
just
doesn't
don't
say
get to
everybody else
cast
gets-
spells. Okay, yeah.
So I want to explain this because this was actually my idea.
Let me just.
So
That's awesome, and I want to hear that just for anyone listening.
So-
as a reminder, Iona is 6 white, but you can cheat her into play for a 7/7 flying legendary angel. As Iona, Shield of Emiria, enters the battlefield, choose a color. Your opponents can't cast spells of that color. Holy F! So this was
I
your
hate this
idea.
card. Yeah, so here's the thing, right? I play a lot of monocolor decks, and I'm not saying, and I don't want people to immediately sit there and go like, oh, look, anybody can get their pet card banned.
Right.
No, because I've seen this happen to other, I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said like, yo, I've been turned 2 Iona out of the game.
Yeah.
Thank you. Right? Like, so here's the thing, right? Iona, so stacks, right? Stacks, for those of you who don't understand, is basically a lockdown kind of philosophy of playing Magic, where you sit there and you use things like Winter Orb and like smokestacks and everything to basically sit there, tap down everything anybody else is playing, put taxes on what they're playing to make it very hard for them to do anything at all. It's a hyper controlling, you don't get to play type of level of Magic.
Yeah, it's hyperbolized prison in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the
prison.
kind of
Thank
way
you.
of- Yeah.
Prison. That's basically you're putting them in jail. It's a prison deck,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's like, "Well, you came after Iona. How do we believe that you're not going to come after prison next?" Because here's the thing: when you play a stacks deck, all of those cards say everybody on the table. Like, oh,
Right.
Winter Orb, everybody can only untap one thing at a time. Yes, symmetry in Magic, I understand. I'm not an idiot. We get it. Symmetry is not symmetry.
It's fair
But-
because it's symmetrical.
Yeah, but the point is though, Iona doesn't do that, because when somebody locks the table down with the stacks deck, everybody at the table can sit there and say, okay, you win, scoop up our cards, we can shuffle up and play another game, right? Where balance. Their balance is not coming off the unbanned list. Let me tell you. But Iona is bad for one very, very specific reason. You can sit there and say, okay, you know what? The blue player doesn't get to play this game. And it's not even like, okay, well, we're done and I've got to leave. No, that guy's got to sit there. The blue player gets to sit there and twiddle their thumbs and watch while the rest of the table sit there and say, well, thank God it wasn't me.
Oh, I'd leave.
Yeah. I guess it's that moment where you're kind of at the whims of like, what's interesting about Iona, because it's like, so I've played a lot of Iona, but because I'm a reanimator player in other formats and stuff like that, right? But Iona is really interesting to me because if she resolves, right, and you go, like you said, like the blue player doesn't get to play, then you've got maybe two other people, one of whom, maybe somebody is holding on to like a go for the throat,
right,
or something like that, right? It's interesting to me because you're now sort of at the whim of that black player to destroy Iona kind of thing. And that can kind of bring in an interesting philosophy regarding like the friendship circle and whatnot. You go, well, Dave's a dick because he resolved Iona, but I know Graham's got my back and he's going to go for the throw of that thing. And hey, I get to play again. But I absolutely agree that it's just like, the philosophy there is quite sound. Right?
So look, here's the thing, right? Politics is a big part of Commander. I understand that. That's everybody gets it. It's like table talk matters in Commander, but I don't believe that table talk should be please let me play.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
think that please let me play should be a bargaining chip.
That's like that's the same thing. Like in that scenario that you just described, Ben. If I'm the blue player and it's like I get to play if this other player decides to kill Iona, then I'm still on the like, all right, you three have fun.
I'm done kind of thing. And
it's just, that's so miserable. That to me is like, that is, so when I play Magic, my hope is that everybody walked away from the table having had a good time. Whether you won or lost, I want you to have a good time. I want you to sit there and say, my time was well spent. My time was worth it. Iona says, I don't value your time and I don't respect you as a player because I just don't want you in this game.
Yeah.
That is just like so antithetical to me that I was like, when we got into the CAG, one of the first things we did was we went over every card in the banned list and said, okay, here's what we think of these cards. Why don't you guys tell us what you think? And so we had a long, robust discussion about every single card. And I think over time, you're going to see more and more of them come off. But I also wanted to say, like, yo, there's a card that's been bothering me for like 7 years, and I want to bring it to your attention, and I want to lay out a case as to why I think Iona is bad for Commander and bad for Magic. And they sat and they're like, okay, you know what? You're the advisory group. Prove it to me. Like, make a case. What Sheldon said is, imagine this. We're the Supreme Court, and the advisory group is the lawyers bringing a case to the table. You got to prove your case, attack or defend this card, and tell me why it matters. And I was like, look, I refuse to live. I mean, not live. Let's be dramatic for a second.
It was like,
okay, to
okay,
live in a world where a man cannot play Magic.
It's like,
come on.
No. I mean, you're selling me for sure. If you opened with that,
I'm on board.
You're right. I wouldn't want to live.
Like, I don't want anybody to go into a store, sit down and play my favorite format of my favorite game, and just be like, yo, all those jackals won't let me play. That sucks. It makes me emotional to just even talk about it. I'm like, that feels like bullying. And I was like, I'm not here for that.
So, sorry. I'm sorry. You finish your thought.
And the thing is, the other members of the CAG, I convinced them except for Josh, because Josh is like, Iona's bad, and I'm not going to cry if she goes, but also, I don't want more cards on the banned list, which is a totally fair philosophy, right? Like, it's a totally reasonable stand to take. But I was like, I don't think that somebody should just stumble into getting Iona out of the game.
I agree.
And there's some cards that I just think are bad for the format. Leovold, Iona, like, some of these things are just like, this is not good for the kind of gameplay that we want to encourage. It's not good for the kind of feelings that we want people to get when they play Commander.
So speaking
you can be
of
competitive.
So speaking of doing the most with the time that one has,
I'm sorry.
We are no, it's okay. We are approaching our recording limit of, because we have to go and play Magic.
Do other things.
So I do want to talk about Paradox Engine, because that's the third. That's the last card. We talked about Painter Servant coming off the ban list. Iona's now on the ban list.
Yeah, and
Paradox Engine.
because it's interesting because Paradox Engine because the last banning was Prophet of Krufix. Am I correct?
No,
right?
the last banning was Leovold.
Right,
Prophet
Leovold.
was right before that.
Right. So it's like Prophet of Krufix and Paradox Engine follow a similar sort of vibe in a way. I think obviously what broke Prophet of Krufix was the flash part of it.
Yeah.
But
it's a 5-mana artifact. Whenever you cast a spell, untap all non-land permanents you control.
Paradox Engine was a controversial decision.
I imagine
because
that was
Rules
the big
Committee
one.
was
I was going to say,
kind of,
it feels like most people's response to Iona was like, yeah,
yeah, but Paradox Engine was like the one people had opinions on. So I'd love to hear about that.
So I want to start by saying that there was not unanimity on this. Like the CAG, half the CAG was definitely very against banning Paradox Engine, and half of us were like, "Yo, this thing is bad." And the Rules Committee themselves, they had so the way it works is we have our discussion about each card, then they go to their private room and they vote, and they have a voting scale which is like +2 to -2, as in like +2 is like I really feel that this should be banned. -2 is I really feel that this shouldn't be not banned, and then they've got kind of a range in between.
That's really
it's
cool.
a weird voting system.
No,
but
I like that,
When
though.
they've
I
been
think
doing it
that's
for
neat.
20 years, they understand each other.
Sure.
But the point was, this is the general reasoning behind Paradox Engine. Paradox Engine is a colorless card. That is step number one.
Yeah.
Anybody can play it.
fair.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you breathe heavy, you combo off with Paradox Engine. Right?
Yeah.
Let's be real. I play a spell. I untap all my mana rocks. Oh, great. I'll play another spell. I untap all my mana rocks. Oh, great. I'm not even playing a combo deck, and I just played 15 spells my turn.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean,
Now, what happens if I put out Bolus's Citadel in Paradox Engine?
yeah, Paradox.
What if I put out Urza in Paradox Engine?
Yeah, Paradox
What if I put
Academy is
down,
a big
I
like
don't
deck and
know,
Highlander.
Wilderness
too.
Reclamation
Yeah.
and Paradox Engine and Seedborn Muse and just go to Crazy Town. You think Nexus of Fate is bad in Standard?
Yeah, yeah.
Here's the problem, though. The problem with, like, people are like, but you let things like Seedborn Muse or whatever resolve. I'm like, yeah, but the problem with Paradox Engine is that it's ubiquitous. Everybody feels like they need to play it. You need to warp your deck to consider the fact that everybody else is going to be playing it. It's like a black hole that just comes and just absorbs everything in. And like the same reason Prophet had to go was that both of these cards were so strong and so ubiquitous that they were just warping Commander to being, does he have Paradox Engine? Does she have Paradox Engine? Are they both going to go off? What do we do? And Paradox Engine is a non-deterministic combo. So a deterministic combo means if I show you a loop, then we can just sit there and say, I will do this for another 100 turns and then win. Right? Like,
Right.
this loop does a thing, you will die by the end of it. Paradox Engine is, I play a spell, I untap all my cards. Okay, now let me look at my hand again. Let me play another spell. Your turn will take half an hour to go through all the motions of doing everything with no specific end in mind.
That's maybe the worst part.
Yeah, yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah,
That's what I can deal with when in Highlander, when Jer or Ben Wheeler combo off and whatnot, is they know what each piece that
Right.
they're grabbing and each thing.
And
that
then
they're-
once they get their combo on, they're just like, this and this and this happens 500 times. And you're like, cool, good game.
Yeah.
Right? That's
Exactly.
it. But this,
And that's
in
why
Commander, you're just like,
yeah,
That's exactly what I'm trying to get at. It's like a lot of people are like, yo, you're going to ban my combo or ban my stacks or whatever out of existence. No, dude. Because I know that you can do your combo and you can just sit there and say, like, these 3 cards mean I win. And then that's cool. Shuffle up, let's play again. Paradox Engine's ubiquity, colorlessness, and the fact that there's a non-deterministic way to just go off means that it was just... I don't know that I wanted to ban it. I was kind of like on the fence about it because it's strong, it's ubiquitous, but also it's a 5 card that does nothing. It's fine, whatever. And Commander's the only place you can play it. It's cool, and it's fun when you do. But I also know that I'm a mono fair player, and I've sat down against somebody playing a Paradox Engine efficiently, and I'm like, that was fun. I just spent like an hour and a half of my life watching you shuffle your deck,
yeah.
and that's not a good use of my life.
yeah.
And Paradox Engine is like, you know what? I'm sorry. Like, I think if Urza hadn't been printed, I think if Bolus's Citadel hadn't been printed, you would have Paradox Engine today.
For sure.
But I
That
think the
makes
fact
sense.
that those 2
Yeah.
cards exist mean that, look, here's the deal. If I were to give you 2 cards and say, you can play with Urza or you can play with Paradox Engine, which would you prefer?
So, I mean, I hate what Urza can do, but Paradox Engine, seeing the things that it can do both in Commander and the things that I've seen it do in like Highlander and whatnot, it is so very much not my style of card. And I really actually agree with the things you're saying. Because with Urza, like you said, Urza does things with with sort of the Meek Thopter Foundry sort of thing. You know that's going to kill you. It's done. But I like the idea that you're putting out there with Paradox Engine. Someone can just dirtle around for X amount of time and do nothing. I
just dislike when the format tells me how to live my life. Yeah. And it's like
That's fair.
When there are cards that's like, well, if you're building a commander deck, you have to have this. And right, it's like Sol Ring, Command Tower. Great. Fine. Right? But I just hate that, like, either I have to run Paradox Engine or I have to assume that all my opponents have Paradox Engine.
For sure.
And it's just like, can I just do bear stuff?
Yeah, I don't need to naturalize your Sol Ring. I need to naturalize your Paradox Engine, you know?
Yeah, because nobody's playing a Paradox Engine and expecting a fair result to come from it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Like, if I play Painter Servant, I can do some weird, Circle of Protection nonsense. Fine, that's fun, that's weird, it's tricky. But if you play a Paradox Engine, I have to assume that you're going to try to obliterate me.
For sure.
Now.
Okay, petition for the next unset. Can they please print Circle of Protection nonsense?
Yeah, absolutely. You get to determine what that nonsense is in some way.
Urza is scary. Paradox Engine is scary. Urza's Engine.
Oh God,
the scariest card.
Oh my God, banding. What do we do?
So speaking, Shivam, of making sure that you're spending your time in a useful way, or at least in a pleasant way, one of my most pleasant ways that I find to spend my time is any time that we get to chat. So
yeah, thank you.
This has been great.
Seriously, I enjoy talking Commander so much with you, Shivam. It's great.
Hey man, I love coming on TTC. It's like a dream for me to be able to sit here and chat with you guys. It's so much fun. I'm really, really grateful you guys come on and maybe explain what we're doing a bit.
Yeah, I think it's really great to hear, like you say, like the flavor text behind the bannings. I think it's really useful.
Well, and
to be
you're
like,
not.
Oh, okay.
You guys are not out. You folks are not out there to be the boogeymen of Commander. You're not doing this because you hate Commander. You're doing this because you love Commander.
Somebody came to me and said, I'm not telling you the cards I'm playing because I don't want you to ban them. And I was like, oh my God, dude, that is the last thing I'm going to do. I don't have any banning power. I have the ability to bring... And let me tell you, there are cards that they wanted to ban that we fought real hard to not ban. And I'm not going to tell you because that would be unethical.
Yes.
But believe me, people...
Just like they sit down across from you at the Commander game and you pull out a notepad and you're like, all right, go ahead.
Yeah. Everyone's going to give you like this wide berth being like, I got a game open.
Try it. I hope you do. I hope you do.
Oh, Forest. Yeah, okay, Forest.
Shivam, apart from here for your fourth time, where can people find you if they want to talk shop about Commander?
So, you guys can hear me on the Commander and MTG podcast, which comes out every week. We also do our live recording of our episode on Wednesday nights on Twitch at Commander and MTG podcast, is I believe what our Twitch channel is called. And also, you can find me on Twitter at Girapuri Gears, which is GHIRAPURI Gears, GEARS. And if you have any questions about the ban list, Commander, anything like that, I will always answer. I will always respond, even if you're telling me that I'm going to go and do terrible things to myself. I will still listen to you because I believe that anything anybody says to me, I will bring to the rules committee, and I will bring it up if it's something that is important. Because I feel that my job in the CAG is to be a conduit between the fans and the rules committee, and I take that very seriously. So I'm very happy to try to explain and justify anything. But no, you're not getting Iona back, so don't ask. And I'm not banning Sol Ring. Not going to happen. Just saying.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Shivam. And I hope we get to chat again soon. Mm-hmm. As a reminder to everyone watching, this show is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Please do check out cardkingdom.com/LRR for all of your Card Kingdom needs. And this show and everything we do is brought to you directly by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/LoadingReadyRun. So, until next time, I'm Graham. That's Ben. Shivam, our guest. Paul on tech. And Heather, who puts these together. Thank you, everybody. And we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.